From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Montana has averaged more than 300 new COVID cases a day for the last week. And today, just the latest record-breaking total, 348 new cases to go along with 4 new deaths. The latest victims to die from COVID-related illness, residents from Sweetgrass, Glacier, Flathead, and Yellowstone counties. The official death count across the state now 183. And it brings the total deaths in Yellowstone County to 68. Also, the number of Montana schools reporting at least 1 or more active cases of COVID-19 has risen to 131 tonight. The state's previous report, released last Wednesday, showed 121 schools with active cases. Total of 433 cases are associated with schools statewide, 302 of those being students. Lockwood Elementary and Lewis and Clark Middle School have the most active cases in Yellowstone County with 3 each. The state is also reporting 344 cases at Montana colleges, with the University of Montana having the most at 126. MSUB has 26 cases. Meanwhile, Wyoming surpassed the 5,000 mark for total COVID cases today, now sitting at 5,046 confirmed cases, 902 probable cases. The state has seen 50 COVID-19 related deaths. And if Montana's medical experts can't convince you, the White House is sending a message to Montanans. Today, Q2's Janelle Slade talked with Dr. Deborah Birx, the White House Coronavirus Response Coordinator, who says she's very concerned as she watches Montana's numbers climb.
I know everyone can hold on for the short number of months that we have until we have evidence that a vaccine is safe and efficacious. We've made it 7 to 8 months together, and I know that is tiring, but we have to pull this together for October, November, and December for the people of Montana. You are having hospitalizations rise, you are having fatalities rise, yet we know from the example of Gallatin County, you can stop the spread of this virus. Please, to everyone out there, you need to wear a mask, and you have to understand that the people that you invite over from dinner may have the virus. You cannot have these social gatherings right now or go into crowded areas without keeping a mask on and physically distancing. We know how to stop the spread. We can do it. You have done it as Montanans before. You need to do it and hang on for these number of months as we bridge through to an effective vaccine.
And you can watch that full interview with Dr. Birx at ktvq.com. Now, she does have a message there for people who feel the coronavirus is political as well. Montana's race for governor is one of the top contests on the 2020 ballot this year. This week, MTN News is giving you a closer look at where the candidates stand on the economy, education, and health care. Tonight, MTN Chief Political Reporter Mike Dennison tells us more about the candidates' plans and views for the future of education.
Democrat Mike Cooney says funding Montana's public education system from pre-kindergarten to college will be a top priority for him as governor.
That's how we prepare the workforce for this state. That's how we make sure that the entrepreneurs and the businesses in this state have that pipeline of workforce that they so desperately need. So we need to make sure that we look at education as an investment.
Cooney says he wants to freeze college tuition, publicly fund pre-kindergarten, which Montana doesn't have now, and look at boosting teacher pay. But he doesn't specifically say how he'd pay for it all.
You do it through working on a budget. Now, it's up to the governor to put it out there for the people of Montana to see, and I'm willing to fight for these things, and we'll figure it out.
Republican Greg Gianforte says his top priority on education will be increasing the pay for public school teachers because Montana has the lowest average starting teacher pay in the nation. Gianforte believes those salaries can be increased by getting rid of regulations that force schools to spend money on unnecessary things other than salaries.
As I talk to public school superintendents, I feel like I'm talking to small business owners. They are tied up in red tape that's preventing money from getting to the classroom.
And he wants to expand skilled labor education in Montana to fill job shortages in many technical fields. Cooney also says he will oppose using public funds or tax credits to assist private schools in Montana and criticizes Gianforte for being a supporter of such efforts.
He is the one who has said we need to take resources, public dollars from public education and move it over to private education. You cannot call that an investment, stealing money from one and putting it into private education.
When asked about whether he'd pursue such a program as governor, Gianforte says only that parents know what's best for their kids and that he is for strong public schools. Yet Gianforte has clearly been an advocate for school choice programs and private schools. He and his wife Susan have funded scholarship programs for students at Montana private schools, and their family charitable foundation has contributed at least $12 million to Petra Academy in Bozeman, a private Christian school that their 4 children attended. Gianforte also co-authored a brief at the U.S. Supreme Court last year, arguing that Montana's constitutional ban against public aid to religious schools should not block a state tax credit funding scholarships for those schools. Gianforte also wants to freeze state funding and says it's not the time to start new education programs before first focusing on increasing teacher pay. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
And this weekend, those 2 candidates will face off in an MTN debate. Watch Saturday night at 6 right here on Q2 or with the Q2 streaming app. Montana's November election will remain vote by mail for many counties after Judge Dana Christensen rejected a request by Republicans to overturn that directive. Judge Christensen cited both the lack of evidence of voter fraud and the compelling public health concerns as main reasons behind that decision. Former Montana Republican Governor Mark Roscoe says he is not supporting President Trump and will instead vote for former Vice President Joe Biden. Roscoe is also the former Republican National Committee Chairman, a role held from 2001 to 2003. He made his comments Tuesday on Yellowstone Public Radio's Home Ground with Brian Kahn. Roscoe said he also did not support candidate Donald Trump in 2016, and that hasn't changed for 2020.
I regret that I will cause consternation perhaps in some corners, but even as a Republican, I will not be supporting Donald Trump for president, and I will not be voting for him. That means that I'll be voting for Joe Biden for president. The reason I'm doing that, Brian, is that I'm not going to march lockstep with him every step of the way, or with the administration. I'll have disagreements, I'm certain. But at the end of the content of a man's character or a woman's character to serve in that capacity is more important than any other issue that I have to consider as a matter of conscience.
All right, turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. We've made it to the end of September, Bob, and you're taking a look back at our weather.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird month because we had some warm days. We had a little bit of smoky days as well. But let me show you what we had. Here we go. As you can see, the warmest day was 102 degrees. Who'd thought we'd get 100 degrees in September? But we did on the 5th. And the average high for this time of year is 77 degrees, 77.9 actually. And as you can see, the lowest temperature was 33 degrees just 4 days later on the 9th. And you'll notice the average low is about 48.5 degrees. Rainfall, we only had one day where we had some rain. That was basically on the 7th. We had 5,400 of an inch, and the peak wind gust was 52 miles per hour on the 2nd. We had 9 days of smoky conditions. We'll have your forecast in a few more minutes.
Thanks, Bob. An update on a fire we first told you about last night at 10 here on Q2. One woman died and another person was sent to the hospital after flames broke out in the 3-story building on North 22nd Street in Billings. Officials say the fire was caused by someone smoking while using oxygen. That blaze caused about $60,000 in damages as well. And new details surrounding a Billings man found dead in a West End house fire Monday. Police tell us officers arrived at the scene to serve an arrest and search warrant for a sex offense investigation and found 45-year-old John Nayland III dead. The county coroner says Nayland died from smoke inhalation. Foul play is not suspected. Today, Yellowstone County's sheriff unveiled the county's new mobile command center. It's outfitted with the latest technology and it's all paid for with federal grant money. The new incident response vehicle will be used for everything from crime investigations to search and rescue missions. Total purchase price $437,000, and it was completely paid for with grant money from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. The new vehicle will also be available to other agencies in eastern Montana should they need more resources and equipment. The agency was previously operating out of a converted bread truck that was made in 1995. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, a changing of the guard. The Lewistown livestock auction has changed hands, but the legacy lives on. The Ag Report's coming up next. And in sports, Scott checks in with Q2's Athletes of the Week, ready to tee off in tomorrow's State A golf tournament and defend the title.